Good morning students, myself Dr. S. Priyadarsini, Associate Professor of PSR Engineering College. We discussed about OSI layer and functionality of each and every layer and what is meant by TCP IP layer and difference between OSI and TCP layer. So the OSI layer is nothing but open system interconnection model. It is developed by ISO. The ISO is nothing but International Organization for Standardization in the year of 1984. So in the OSI layer it consists of totally the 7 layers. So what are all the 7 layers? So the 7 layer is application layer, presentation layer and session layer, transport layer and network layer, data link layer and physical layer. So overall, to reduce the complexity of the network, the computer network is divided into totally the 7 layers. The lower layer, physical layer, data link layer and then network layer, it is mainly deals with the hardware layer. Remaining the session layer, presentation and application layer, it is mainly deals with the software layers. So the intermediately, the transport layer, it is the main heart of the OSI layer. It will connect both hardware layer and then software layer. So what are all the functionality of the physical layer? The main functionality of the physical layer is to transmit the data in the form of zeros and ones, binary bits. So the physical layer is the lowest layer of OSI layer. The main functionality to transmit the data in the form of zeros and ones. These are all the remaining functionality of the physical layer. So the representation of bits in the form of zeros and ones and then data rate, how many data are transmitted within a second. And next one is synchronization between both sender and the receiver. It provides the clock between the both sender and receiver. And line configuration, the physical layer is mainly deals with the 2 types of configuration, that is point to point configuration and multi-point configuration. At the same time, the physical layer, it maintains the topology. What is the main purpose of topology? To organize the devices in a particular network. So these are all the different types of topology: mesh topology, star and ring and bus topology. And finally deals with the transmission mode. The physical layer, it is mainly deals with the 3 types of communication, that is simplex communication, half duplex and full duplex communication. Simplex means the data flows from unidirectional, and second one is half duplex means the data, the sender it will transmit the data and receiver it will receive the data, it is not a same time. The full duplex transmission means both sender and receiver it will transmit the data simultaneously. And next one is data link layer. It will transmit the data in the form of frames. The data link layer, main functionality of data link layer is flow control and error control and framing and physical addressing. So the framing is nothing but the structure of frame is both header information, it mainly stores with the sender and receiver frame of physical address. Normally the physical address is nothing but MAC address. It consists of totally 128 bits. Flow control means both sender and receiver it maintain the same flow rate to avoid the congestion control. And error control means in case of any errors during the transmission, it can detect the CRC mechanisms. And access control, the same time the particular channel which devices it can be accessed for a particular period of time. So these are all the 2 layers in the data link layer, that is logical link layer and then media access control layer. So the logical control layer is mainly deals with the communication between the 2 devices. The media access control layer is which devices can be accessed for the particular link in a period of time. And third layer is network layer. The network layer is mainly deals with the to transmit the data in the form of packets. At the same time, the functionality of the network layer is each and every IP address is also stored in the header information. So this is the IP address structure. Normally the IP address it consists of 32 bit, is divided into the 8 bit portion, 8 bit and 16 and 24 and 32 bit. The IP addresses ranges from 0 to 255. So each and every IP address divided into the 2 parts. The first one is network portion and then host portion. First 3 portion is allocated for the network portion. So, the class C address means totally 24 bit is allocated for the network portion. The 2 versions of IP address, normally the IP address is nothing but internet protocol. It consists of 2 versions, version 4 and version 6. Version 4 having 32 bit number addressing, IP version 6 having 128 bit addressing. And fourth layer is transport layer, is mainly deals with it to transmit the data in the form of messages. At the same time, the total message is divided into the different number of segments. The main functionality of the transport layer is about to port number is stored in the each and every header information. At the same time, segmentation and reassembly is the main functionality of the transport layer to transmit any messages from sender to receiver, finally to reassemble the original messages based on the sequence number. So, the TCP protocol is mainly deals with 2 types of services, that is connection oriented services and connectionless services. Connection oriented services means that is reliable one to transmit any one of the data from sender to receiver, it receive the acknowledgement from the previous frame. So, these are all the 3 steps are followed in the connection oriented services. First, to establish the connection from both sender to receiver, and then to transfer the data, and finally to terminate the connection. So, the TCP connection oriented services means that is reliable services. The second one is connectionless services. There is no acknowledgement from receiver to sender. So, that is unreliable one. Compared to the connectionless services, connection oriented services is a faster one to transmit the data. So, the TCP having the functionality, that is flow control and then error control. So, these are all the 2 functionalities followed in the transport layer. The fifth layer is session layer. The session layer is mainly deals with the how to establish the connection and maintain the connection. At the same time, authentication and security is also provided in the session layer. So, these are all the functionality of session layer and how to synchronize the data between both sender and the receiver, and the dialog control, how to communicate either half duplex and full duplex transmissions. So, these are all the examples of session layer. So, each and every we have to sending the totally 8 pages. After 50 pages we have to add the checkpoint. So, we have to transmit the data from 1 to 800. If any one of the data is missing means to transmit only the particular pages only it can be transmitted. And next one is presentation layer. So, the main functionality of presentation layer, how to format the data in a particular format. So, functionality of the presentation layer is translation and then encryption, decryption and then compression. So, these are all the functionality of the presentation layer. And the last layer is application layer. The application layer is mainly deals with the software layer. So, what are all the different types of services provided in the application layer is the email application, we have to sending the email from one device to another devices, and how to transfer the file from one source to another sources, and HTTP protocol. The main purpose of HTTP protocol, how to communicate both client and server, and telnet. So, these are all the different application services are used in the application layer.